Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Chew. I'm Robert Wallace, and this is the place where we ask, are we choosing the way of Jesus, or are we choosing our own way? As we continue to look at our passage from Mark chapter 2, in verses 23 through 25, we read how the disciples were pulling heads off of grain to eat. And the Pharisees objected, and Jesus reminded them of an event with David. The issues for the Pharisees was that the disciples were working. No, they weren't. The disciples were walking with Jesus, not working. They picked some heads of grain, again, not working. What were they doing? They were eating the heads of grain. They weren't stuffing grains, heads of grain in their pockets, and they weren't taking out huge sections of grain. They were merely picking off heads of grain. And that's okay. In Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 25, we read this. If you enter your neighbor's grain field, you may pick kernels with your hands, but you must not put a sickle to their standing grain. The disciples weren't doing anything more than picking something to eat. They were not harvesting grain. Then Jesus says in verse 27, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath. My friends, the Sabbath was made for us. Our purpose is to focus on God's grace to us, for us, and to rest from our hurrying and labor. We do read in Exodus chapter 20, verses 9 through 10, 6 days shall you labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. We are to rest from our labors and hold the day holy. Sabbath is for humanity, and the purposes are to focus on God and rest, reflect, and recreate. All three of these words point us to renewal. Renewal of our bodies, our minds, and our soul. Renewal in our purpose as God's children to trust Him to help us with the things that the week will bring. Given what I shared with you here today and the verses that I've shared, how does your thinking about Sabbath harmonize with the way of Jesus? How will you observe Sabbath going forward from today? Now, I pray that as you carefully consider what I've shared here today, that you'll look at these passages with fresh eyes. As a matter of fact, invite the Holy Spirit to give you eyes to see and ears to hear God's truth from His Word. Have a receptive heart and mind to receive the truths that the Holy Spirit will point out to you. And then take a step of faith today with the same boldness and commitment and courage of Jesus to do what the Holy Spirit leads you to do regarding Sabbath. I pray you'll have a wonderful day, my friends. Go in the peace of God. Blessings to you. Bye for now.